All right, everyone. Unfortunately, Hurricane Milton has just strengthened into a Cat 4 hurricane, which is a very major hurricane, bending eastward, which is abnormal. Some people are talking about weather control. Jury is still out on that. I'm not even going to bother weighing in on it because everyone seems to have a different opinion. What I would say is to clankers in Florida, please do be prepared because you don't have much more time to prepare, and this is going to be a bad one. We're talking storm surge along the coast, especially in the Tampa area, which looks to be right in the crosshairs, which could be 15 feet high. Florida is as flat as a washboard. If you're anywhere near the coast, you should definitely, well, hopefully you've already evacuated, but if you haven't, you should definitely be thinking about it right now. It looks like this is going to be a really bad one. Could do even more damage than Hurricane Helene actually did in North Carolina. It could be even worse than that. Florida has one saving grace, which is if you go into the Carolinas and places like that. This happened with Irene in New England back in 2010, 2011. If you have a lot of mountains and hills, what does water tend to do? It gets funneled down into the valleys. Where do most people live? They live in the valleys. And so you get roads washed out, bridges washed away, homes destroyed, and so forth. In Florida, it's pretty flat. And so the rain tends to accumulate in a fairly even fashion and then soak in. They have thunderstorms literally every day in Tampa. I think it's the lightning capital of the United States, actually, if I remember correctly. It's basically you get like 10 minutes of storm and rain, and then it's totally clear, and then the heat comes back and the humidity surges beyond 100% with a high dew point, and it's absolutely fucking miserable. But the storm surge specifically along the coast could do absolutely catastrophic damage. It's going to be pretty messy. Hopefully your windows are boarded up. Hopefully you've got the kids and the dog and you've decided to go at least somewhat inland where it's a little bit safer. At least the storm surge isn't going to be a problem there. It's no telling exactly how high it'll be. The hope is that people are overestimating it and it'll be lower than that. Regardless, though, it's going to be a catastrophic storm. It's strengthened rapidly. It's going to be extremely dangerous. And so I know sometimes people from Florida say, well, I've been through hurricanes before. Yeah, okay, there's a difference between a Category 1 hurricane or a tropical storm and what we're seeing here. Hopefully it weakens some before it slams into the coast, but you never are quite sure. And so, I mean, if I was living there, I would have evacuated the second the storm started forming, considering its pattern movement. But some people haven't evacuated. Some people can't evacuate. At this point, I think some people are saying that they're incapable of evacuating at this late point in the game, which is rather unfortunate. The hope is that they're okay. So to all the clankers there, be safe. I hope at the very least you've moved inland, you've got some supplies. Bottled water, toilet paper comes to mind. Maybe you've got a couple crates of MREs. That would always be good. Hell, man, with all the water falling, you'll be able to use that in order to ignite the magnesium in the pouches. I would think maybe a rainwater collector would be a good idea too, although probably the gale force winds would just blow it away, so I don't know how much it would be worth. I suppose people living in a woods, they're lucky. It's like, my lean-to is not going to go anywhere. Tree might get struck by lightning during the storm, but, either or. So Milton looks to be a bad one. It looks like it might be even worse than the one that just scraped across North Carolina, causing such damage. Again, the only saving grace being if you're flat as a washboard, you don't have to deal with the water getting funneled and therefore becoming even more dangerous. Nonetheless, along the coast, you can expect catastrophe. I believe starting tomorrow, you're going to start getting inclement weather, high winds and rain, and then on Wednesday, I believe, is when the surge will start happening. I'm sure that the live footage of that will be phantasmagorical, and there will be, unfortunately, many people that are killed by such a storm. So clankers, be safe. If you're in the path of that hurricane and you can't evacuate, do whatever you can. Board up those windows and get to the upper floors, if you've got one. Most buildings in Florida, residential structures, only have the ground floor. You don't find many basements down there. I wonder why. Well, we had a basement. Now it's a swimming pool. It's kind of brackish, but so whatever. That's what's going to happen. So we're monitoring this, of course. I'm sure that pretty much everyone is keeping an eye on it. If they do any form of a news commentary, it's going to be a big problem, I think, for Florida. And of course, it's happening right before Election Day, right in an area where Trump tends to predominate. This is unfortunate. I do not think, by the way, some people are saying that this is going to affect voting patterns, that North Carolina and Florida are now in play because they're going to get slammed by hurricanes. I take up the opposite line. I think the anemic response by the Kamala Biden administration through FEMA, etc., is actually going to alienate more voters than are prevented from voting because of the catastrophic damage. I think that it's actually, at the bare minimum, I think that it's sort of a break-even point. I don't think that it's actually going to affect the election. Some people are saying it's a geoengineering conspiracy theory. The government is seeding the hurricane and moving it in a different direction in order to fuck with people. Maybe, I suppose. I mean, the technology technically is there, but you don't need to chalk it up to that. You can just chalk it up to hurricanes happen. Hurricanes happen at this time of year. Rather unfortunate that it's so powerful. I don't think that it's going to swing the election. Again, if anything, if it swings it at all, I think it might swing it in Trump's favor because people are so pissed at the response. You look at Kamala Harris' crazy response to, well, non-response to the North Carolina thing that's happening. And what's her response? Well, we're giving more aid to Lebanon. Yeah, that went over really, really well. People, certainly even some liberal commentators, were scratching their heads saying, what the fuck are you talking about? Now's probably not the time. You should probably wait a couple of days and let the response kick in a little bit more. That's about all. Peace out.